Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of Diary of a Double. This is the year-long journey that Antonio Argüelles, our weekly guest, is taking over to complete the double crossing of the English Channel. He's going to start in England, swim to France, and then from France back to England, a total of 67 kilometers. Welcome, Antonio.
Hi, Steven. Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, wherever you are in the world. And you know one thing, Steven, my flip turns are very bad. So I'm just happy I'll just have to make one flip turn in France.
Yeah. So what week is this week? 15?
No, 17. It's week 17. Week 17. We are approaching a very tough week next week. Week 18. We'll have 8 hours, and since I usually go and do those kinds of workouts either in La Jolla or in San Francisco, but with all these restrictions that you have in California, I decided I would stay here in Mexico, and I'm going to Las Estacas to do that on Thursday.
Okay, and explain for the audience where Las Estacas is.
See, Mexico City is in the middle of the country. Okay. And towards the south, there's two states that take you over to the ocean. One is Morelos, that's where my family lives, my mother. And then you go to Guerrero, and then you get to Acapulco. So there's a river called Las Estacas, and this river gets its water from the volcanoes.
Oh, okay.
So it's cold water. Cold, in relative terms, usually it's around between 20 and 21 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
And you drive from Mexico City, you drive south, and it takes you about an hour and 45 minutes. Okay. You go on a highway, and then the roads, as usual, start getting smaller and smaller. So it's just a two-way highway. And the really interesting thing is it's a concession. It's people, the people who run it were given that by the government.
Okay.
And they don't own it, but they can use it. And what is really interesting is that the first time I went there, I was 15 years old, and I had just made the national team, and I was one of the youngest, and but I had a car, and so the older guys, they said, let's skip school. I said, no, I can't skip school. My mother and my father would kill me. No, you're great. Shit. No, what they wanted me was to drive because nobody had a car. So I went over there with them, and then they could hook up with some girls, and they took off with another car. So I had to come back by myself, and it rained so bad, Steve, the highway. I mean, you couldn't see. I mean, it's one of the worst days in my life with rain. It was one of the first times I was on a highway. So, and I've always remembered that day, and Las Estacas had nothing. There was nothing. It was just the river, and you paid like, 5 pesos to get in. There were not even showers, and we swam there. And it was really interesting because the national coach used to take us there to swim against the current.
Okay.
To do that workout. And then later on, when I started doing my first English Channel swim, I started going there regularly. And what is really nice, and you'll see it next week when I will make some film about it, and we'll film the area, is how it's become a ecological park.
Okay.
The owners have made a big effort in turning it into a very nice area for common people. It's not a luxury place. You pay about $10, $15 to get in for the day, and you can spend there the whole day and have restaurants. And what's really beautiful is that the water comes out of a well. So you imagine, you look at the water coming out.
Okay.
And so then you go downstream for 1 kilometer, and there's a turning point there. And if you go 1.5 kilometers, it's the end of the river. After that, it becomes very small and it goes into the land because there's a lot of agricultural land.
Okay.
That water is used for the agriculture. And what it's really, you know what? I remember now. One of the Tarzan films was filmed there.
Oh, really?
Yes, I will find out which one of them because it looks like a jungle. I mean, so
Okay.
in some areas the trees are so close that
Wow.
it looks like a jungle, and it's it has some interesting points because once you learn how to swim the river, usually just go on one side. So when you go down, you go in the middle. But when you go up, you start going on the right side,
Okay.
and as close as you can to the wall. And then, but at some point, you have to cross it. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting when you cross it, you feel
Wow.
the current, and there's a point where the current is heavy, and Rafa loves to do their 75s, 100s, and 150s,
Okay.
all out against the current. And yesterday I did that. I had to do 10 of those,
Oh,
and we use them for changing speed. And that's something that in any channel crossing you're gonna have to change your speed at some point because you're gonna confront change of currents, and then at the end you keep on going up, and you see the so what's really interesting is because of the shade, for the shade of the trees,
uh-huh.
colors of the water are different,
Oh, okay.
and the water has different levels of depth. So it's really beautiful when you're by yourself, like I was there yesterday, or I will be on Thursday, and there's no more swimmers around. It's very quiet,
Okay.
and nobody bothers you. So it's
Yeah.
a great place to meditate while you're swimming, to think about when you're swimming, um, and then you keep on going up, and when you have to enter where the well is,
Hmm.
and that entrance, it's really complicated because
Oh,
it's very shallow, and you
uh-huh.
have to go in, and then you go into the big well.
Got it.
So
Yeah, I have
that's
so many questions. Does your coach, does Rafa, is he in a boat? Is he in a kayak? Does he walk along the shore? How does he follow you?
no, Rafa stays at our feeding station. He's there.
Okay.
And then when we do the 75s, or the against the current, he walks
Okay.
with me that. But the rest of the time I'm just by myself. He gives me
Okay.
the instructions of what I have to do, and I just go and go and do it.
Okay. And then when you have the 1 kilometer mark and the 1.5 kilometer mark, is there a buoy or is there a trees? How do you know that you've gone 1 kilometer?
Um, you know what happened is that for many years the concession ended at some point at the kilometer. Okay, so they had a net there, and what that was the last place where you could get out if you wanted to walk. If you want to go downstream and you couldn't come up, there's the last place where you can get up. There's
Okay.
some stairs, and then you can walk back to the restaurant and up there. And then I started getting into the other side. And the reason I did it is because the river became smaller,
Yeah.
and the current was much harder. And I just thought I'll try it, and I'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And suddenly something happened, and they're trying to convince the government and the landowners around there, and they struck a deal, and now the whole river, the cut. What happened is after the end point, there was a lot of grass coming out of the water, so it's like it was not kale. Remember when you get the kale that you can move? Well,
Yeah.
this was with like with grass. I mean, it was very big. So they cut that, they
Uh-huh.
cleaned it, and now I can go. Now I can go. But I'm one of the few people who are they allowed to go in, because you have to be a very good swimmer to
Uh,
be able to go out,
okay.
coming back. And since the park finished at the one mark, there's no way you can get out on the sides.
Oh, okay.
It'll be very complicated for somebody to get out. But I guess, hopefully they'll acquire the land next to the park. But that's why it's only the 1 kilometer. You have the last stair, and then if you venture, you better are a good swimmer, because it's going to take you a lot of effort to be able to break the current.
And then do other swimmers use this, or triathletes or adventure people I
On the
know.
weekends, it's the spot for triathletes and long distance swimmers.
Oh, really?
If
Okay.
you live in Mexico City or the metropolitan area, and you want a good workout, you go there.
Okay.
In the high season, it's really disturbing because there are a lot of triathletes,
Oh, okay.
and I don't know why they love to swim all together. So what happens is when you go out and turn around, suddenly you see 10 guys coming in front of you, all with wetsuits, and so that's something that is bothering. And the other thing is they start racing, and they're gonna go and do 2 laps. And when you do 6, 7 laps, you don't want to race. I mean, you just have to keep your pace.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people go there on the weekends.
Yeah.
And also recreational people for recreation.
Okay. Is the water temperature the same year round, or does it get warmer in the summer and cooler?
It's pretty much the same. The difference is about 2 degrees. It's about 10%. Yeah, nothing big.
Yeah. And then of all the previous years when you were training there, what has been the longest time you've been in the water there?
12 hours.
Really?
Remember when I was, I don't know if I told you this story, but when I was training to do my first English Channel swim, I was ready to go, and then a big hurricane hit Mexico. And it was floated all the south of Mexico, the state of Chiapas. And President Cedillo said that we had to go there. At that time, I was running this system of technical schools, and we had the equipment. We had many things that we could go and do in those rescue missions. And my boss, was the minister, calls me and said, "Look, I mean, I know you're about to go out. The next day, I was flying to England. I know you're going to be flying next day. Do you want to call the president and tell him that you are going to go to try the English Channel rather to go with him to Chiapas in this emergency?" So I couldn't go. I had to cancel. So I decided that I was going to train for a double and start to do my first attempt at double.
Okay.
And that's when WOWSA dies. And I get this very, very, very bad day. I swam 18 hours with 19 minutes. And if I had not trained to do the double, I would probably wouldn't have finished my English Channel. Wow. So one of my sessions was 12 hours in Las Estacas. I swam 12 hours. Wow. That was really boring.
Yeah. So when you did the 12-hour swim, or you're going to do your 8-hour sessions next week, what do you do the night before and the morning of? Do you do anything different when you know you're going to go a really long, hard workout?
I go and stay there. They have a hotel. So I go to the hotel and I try to go there in the afternoon. I always have a very light, well, now I have a very light dinner. I just eat grapefruit and a little bit of ham and cheese and a piece of bread. And in the mornings, we'll probably wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I will do Qigong for about 25 minutes, half an hour. And we'll do a warm up with Rafa with the
resistance bands.
Yeah, with the bands, with the elastic bands. And I'll have to since I'm going to swim from 6 o'clock in the morning until 10, I have to apply some sunscreen because the sun is going to be up. So I'll do that. Then I'll be out for 3 hours. And in those 3 hours, I'll go and rest in my room. And I put my katsu. Well, we'll put my katsu and eat some soup with a little bit of rice. Then at 1 o'clock, I will go back into the water for another 2 hours. And then at the end, I will go from 1 to 3, rest 2 hours, and go back from 5 to 7.
Okay.
And I don't know yet what's going to happen. Probably in the morning, the first one, it'll be a session with more continuous swims,
Mhm.
and maybe some mental things. And then the other 2 sessions will be more changing paces,
Okay.
and doing that kind of stuff. So that's what I usually do.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to be very anxious to hear about your 8-hour session next week. That'd be great.
Yes, but I have to warn you that things are happening in the team. So I'll have some
So update.
Something happened because yesterday when I was swimming there, I had the feeling somebody was watching me. So if you follow me in Instagram, or the people who are watching us follow me in Instagram, be careful because something is going to happen. Beware. Okay.
Okay.
Take care, Steven.
Okay, bye.
Bye.